Hey everybody, welcome back to Bacon's Bass Place. I'm Aaron Bacon, and today we got something special. We're going to be going through all of the different strokes of slap bass for you. We're going to break it down. These are the basic building blocks of slap bass, okay? It's all the individual strikes that you do when you're playing slap bass. We're going to go through all the different possible strokes. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a good one. Before we get started, guys, I want to get you to hit that subscribe button because we're going to be releasing videos every Friday and you don't want to miss this stuff. We're going to be doing lots of good bass lessons and other bass related content, so make sure that you stick around, come back every Friday for our regulars. Alright, so we're going through the strokes of slap bass today, guys. This is something that I use all the time. This is a crucial understanding to how to play slap bass, is to understand what are the building blocks of slap bass. And I call these strokes of slap bass. It's going to be useful to establish a common dictionary for us, guys. So what do I mean when I'm saying strokes of slap bass? A stroke, when we're talking about slap bass, you'll hear me talking about this all the time, guys. A stroke in slap bass is one strike that hits the string, okay? Anything that strikes the string is a stroke. Whether it's a slap, down or up, whether it's a pop, those are all strikes. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, they're all strikes, okay? So we're going to go through all of the ones that I use, all the common ones. These should all be stuff that you guys are doing already. We're just going to establish a nice vocabulary for it so that you guys can get very systematic in your approach to applying these and making grooves and patterns and making music with your slap bass. So let's get started. So what are all the strokes? Let's go through this. First thing to know is we have three categories of strokes, and we're going to differentiate them down further once we go into it. The first one is going to be slap strokes, okay? Okay, the next one is going to be pops. And the final one is going to be slurs. These aren't really unique to slap bass in any way, but they're absolutely pivotal to connecting your slap bass, making it your own, making it your own inflection, you know, making it your own style, your own flavor, your own taste, your own spin on it. This is sort of where a lot of the phrasing and inflection and personality comes in, is in your slurs from a technical standpoint. So let's break those down, okay? What are the different differentiations within each of those categories? All right. Slaps, we have a down slap and we have an up slap, okay? So that's down with your thumb, up with your thumb. I call it a down thumb and an up thumb. Or a slap and an up thumb. Kind of feels like a pick when you're just doing it like this. Pops. Two kinds of pops I like to use. There's a single pop and there is a double pop. I've recently made videos on both of these pop videos. They're actually my last two videos, I think. There's perfecting your pop, which I want you guys to go check out if you haven't already, because it's really going to help you with your single pops. And then I have another video called avoiding the double pop problem, separating your two popping fingers, and that's all about the double pop, how to do this. So if you want to get real in detail about the details of the pop strokes, both single and double, make sure you go check out those two other videos on my channel. And the slurs are hammer-ons, pull-offs, hammer-ons out of nowhere, and slides. Okay? So let's get into that. Alright, so when I'm talking about a basic slap, just a down thumb, there's a couple pointers I like to keep in mind. First of all is the angle at which my thumb is sticking out of my fist, right? When I first learned slap bass, they were like, make a fist, stick your thumb out, and hit it with the thumb, okay? It's a good place to start. Not exactly what I think now. What I do now is I kind of make a fist, stick it out, but if you look, I'm not playing overhand anymore, so I'm not hitting it like that. I'm trying to go through the string when I hit it. Like I'm hitting that E string, but my thumb rests on the A string after I've done it. Alright? Now, if my thumb is totally flat like that, my whole hand is going to hit the thing, and I'm not going to be able to separate my thumb from like all this other palm stuff contacting the bass, you know? So what I like to do is I have my thumb like this, and I want to stick it inwards towards myself a little bit. Like, just not straight up parallel to your hand, but at like maybe like a 40-degree angle, roughly, you know? So that you're actually pointing that in towards yourself. When you're doing this, like when my thumb is flat like this, it's going to be totally parallel to the strings, right? And it's just pointing the same direction as the neck. But when I move my thumb inward like this a little bit, now my fist is a little bit farther away from the bass because my thumb is pointing in towards me a little bit. It's not pointing that way, the same way as the neck anymore. It's not pointing into, well, it's pointing like that way, but in towards me, not out to the side, in towards me, because it's got to be able to stick out to hit the string. It's sort of like a pick, right? The pick has that one pointy side. That's basically the same effect that you're accomplishing by moving your thumb in like that. If you have your thumb like this, you're basically playing with like the round part of a pick that you're supposed to hold on to. When you do this, you're getting a nice pointy pick. I like pointy picks too, like sharp picks and, you know, jazz threes and those little trainer picks. I like all those little pointy picks. So this helps to get more of a pointy pick feel, if you will. The other thing to keep in mind, now this is quite a crucial one when you're doing slap bass, and this is the point at which your thumb contacts the string, right? When I'm doing slap bass, a lot of people start by wanting to hit the string like around the knuckle, you know, around the fattest part of the string, of your thumb, And I mean, when you're doing overhand slap bass style, that's kind of what you want to do, right? Because that way your thumb is a little more flat. We're talking about underhand here, not overhand. We don't want to have a flat thumb. We want to have a thumb that sticks out a little bit. When your thumb sticks out a little bit, it changes the place at which your thumb is contacting the string. And it also changes the angle at which your thumb contacts the string, okay? So you don't want to do it with the big round part of your thumb here. That is not where we're trying to hit the string. It happens on like the corner of my thumbnail. Okay, if my thumbnail is a square, it's on this top corner of it pretty well evenly because my thumb is sticking out like this. So that's going to mean that my string is at about this angle. Okay? So that means that the corner of my thumb will be hitting it. The corner of my thumbnail, not the side of my knuckle, but the corner of my thumbnail. I'm not using the nail to play it, but that's just a reference point for where on your thumb it should be hitting, okay? So, when you do that, that's all with the corner of the thumb, not with the big round knuckle part of the thumb, okay? It's not small enough. It's not precise enough. It's the opposite of using a sharp pick. It's like using a pick that has been ground down and it's like a circle. It's like using a penny for a pick. It's like using the side of your thumb, okay? It's the corner of your thumbnail. So, now the third thing we're going to talk about when we're breaking down just the down thumb slap motion, slap stroke, is the actual motion that we're moving at, okay? This is something that has changed for me a lot over the years of playing slap bass and a lot of adjusting it to my own stuff. When you're first learning, everybody says it's twisting. You do this twisting motion. And if you're doing overhand slap bass, it is a lot more twisting, but I like never do overhand slap bass. Okay? It's different with the underhand stuff. Underhand slap bass, I like to do what I call a combination of a few different motions, alright? So one motion I'm going to do is this down and up movement, alright? That means I'm just going like up towards my shoulder here and I'm going down towards the ground. Straight up. Okay, that is one of the motions that I'm using to combine. one of the other angles that I'm combining is this out and in motion, okay? Coming out and away from the bass and towards the bass. That's the second motion that I'm combining, okay? So it's a combination of this up and down, and it's a combination of this up thing, right? Which sort of gives you maybe like a bit of an angle. Now the last one, I know I just said I don't twist. This last one is just ever so slight of a twist, all right? It's like no more than like this much twisting, okay? And I barely even actually would think of it as a twist. It's almost more of a rock, okay? So, yeah, let's call it that. We're not going to call it a twist, okay? Even though I am doing a little bit of this motion, I don't think of it like that. I think of it more of a rock, because that's kind of how I'm doing. It's my hand moving side to side on the linear plane of the wrist's range of motion, okay? So we're going to combine this up and down, we're going to combine out and in, and we're going to combine just a little bit of twisting and some rocking motion, okay? I've sort of amalgamated all three of those motions into the actual motion that I do with this, all right? So it's almost like an upside down scoop, like I'm coming in, and then I'm coming down, and then I'm rocking a little bit, right? So it does this like, whoosh. I'm totally exaggerating it so you guys can see, but it's a little bit of that. Alright guys, so that's everything about how to do the stroke called the down thumb. Next, let's talk about the up thumb, okay? This is one that a lot of people struggle with. This is something that stops a lot of slap bass players from ever journeying into trying to learn how to do double thumping, okay? Is the up thumb. That's the whole thing. We're not only doing slap bass today, we're doing double thumping too. So, the main thing that I want to show you about the up thumb has to do with the same type of previous points that we hit about the down thumb and the angle. Okay, so it's the angle that your thumb is sticking out, which is going to be the same. Okay, it's not flat, it's sticking out like a sharp pick. Not like a flat pick, but a sharp pick. And then we're going to keep the same motion that we're doing, the combination of the three motions, and we're going to keep the same area of your thumb that the string is contacting being the corner of your thumbnail, all right? Not the big round part of your knuckle, but the corner of your thumbnail. This is sort of where a little bit of the rocking comes in. I get that up thumb mostly with like this. Okay, it's not pulling with my arm, it's not pulling out. It's in my wrist and it's like a rocking on that same side plane, okay? Side linear range of motion. It's not going this way. Okay, it's going this way. And I'm going to stick my thumb out. And I'm not actually like pushing against it with my thumb, but I am sort of like relaxing my thumb when I'm not doing an up thumb, and then when I go to do an up thumb, I just stiffen it just a little bit so that it doesn't give as much, okay? Because I want to hook it. Now, when I was first getting into double thumping a lot, I had a lesson from Brewer when he was with the Faceless. They came in through Winnipeg on the Metal Alliance tour. It was super awesome. Got to see like Dying Fetus and a whole bunch of other cool bands like that. But the main takeaway for me was this couple hours I got to spend with Brewer. And he was showing me some slap bass stuff. And I asked him about the up thumb. And what he did was he got me to come up over his shoulder and look at the way that his thumb was contacting the string. So I'm going to give you guys that same angle as I'm doing this. But what I've done here for you guys is I've drawn a line on my thumb to show you exactly where the string contacts my thumb, okay? So hopefully this visual display kind of helps you guys a little bit, but I'm going to have a camera in a little bit more close for you guys to see, okay? But look at this line on my thumb, okay? That line right there, that is exactly where the string should be, like this. Guys, as I'm doing this, I look down and I can see the string is exactly where the line is, okay? So let me tell you where I put that line. The bottom of the line here, hopefully you guys can see that, is right in the corner where my cuticle meets the side of my thumb tissue, essentially, right? Like, it's in the bottom corner of my thumbnail here. Not too high up so that it's catching my actual skin, just a little more out, so it's sort of on the edge. It's basically right at the point where your fingernail starts going under your skin, if you know what I mean, under the cuticle. So that's this point, and then up here is right in the middle of my nail, okay? So take a Sharpie, draw from the middle of that to the point at which your skin goes over top of the nail, and that's where you want the string to contact your thumb when you're doing the up thumb, okay? So I really think that's mostly it. If you guys work on that a lot, draw the line, make sure you're getting everything at the right angle, the up thumb is going to become no problem for you guys, and you just work on it across the strings, you know? Ooh, my C string is flat. Alright, so we've gone over all of our slap strokes, our down thumb, and our up thumb, okay? When I say slap strokes, I mean just the thumb thing. When I'm talking about pop strokes, I mean these finger things. Okay? I'm going to kind of rush over the popping strokes today because my last two videos were in detail breaking down how to do these again. And I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. Make sure you guys go check out those videos. I'll put the links in the description down below so you can find them and you can go fine-tune your single and double pops, right? But just to give you a quick explanation of what's said in those videos, for the single pop, it's about the motion again. We're not going to do this twisting thing. We're going to do it out from the out and in motion. It's not a twist, but it's an out. And the crucial part of your single pop is in the actual motion that your finger does here, okay? It's like you're pulling a trigger on a gun. I know. It's dangerous, but you got to do it, okay? That's how you play slap bass. We're squeezing your finger. Squeezing your finger. It's not pulling with your hand like that. It's overdone it, and it doesn't sound as good. You want to squeeze with your finger. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. It doesn't matter which finger you're doing it with. If you're doing it with the index finger, if you're doing it with your middle finger, they're both the same thing, okay? Make sure you're squeezing, okay? You're not just pulling off and leaving your fingers in the same shape. You have to actually close your fingers and squeeze to do a pop, all right? And the whole thing that you got to learn with double popping, which again, when we're talking about double thumping, is something that a lot of people have trouble with. Moving from single slap bass, where you're just doing down with your thumb and up pop, to double thumping, where you go down, up with your thumb, and you do two pops. The thing that's hard for people about the two pops is that the second one mutes the first one, okay? That's the main thing. When you do this one immediately touches the string, and you don't get a good ring from it. So what you have to do is take these two fingers, push them away from each other. Again, go check out the other video called Separating Your Double Pops, Avoiding the Double Pop Issue. That's going to get right into this, and you guys can see how I like to talk about that, but that's the main thing, is you have to push this finger against the other string below it while you do the pop to actually separate them so that you can get a good sound out of the first one. See how that finger right there is still pushed against the other string? It's not touching. So I can do that other one without cutting off the first note. Alright, so those are all the popping strokes, guys. So far we've covered all the down and up thumb slap strokes, and we've covered the single and double popping pop strokes. Now let's get into slurs. A slur in guitar language is called a hammer-on, or a pull-off, or a slide. Okay, in music it's called a slur. In guitar, the technique you use to pull it off, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, okay? So those are basically the ones that I want to talk about with you today. Okay, so these things are super important in slap bass, okay? Slurs make up all the room in which your thumping hand, your right hand, can't just hit every possible subdivision, okay, with this hand. So the way to get in more subdivisions, well, that's not really what you want to do. It's not about getting in more subdivisions. What you want to do is connect your slap patterns with the slurs, okay? So with the hammer-on, See, like that one's pretty slow, so you could do it even. Hammer-ons are a great way to keep the alternating motion in your hand, okay? So you don't have to cut it. You're just going slap, pop, slap, pop, slap, pop, slap, pop, slap, pop. It's like strumming a guitar. So hammer on, hit the string once, hammer on, creating a second note that you didn't play with this hand. Do with slaps or pops. You can do them in open or closed position. What does that mean? Open position means going from an open string to a fretted note. Closed position means going from one fret to another fret. What are the other slurs? The other slur is a pull-off. What's a pull-off? A pull-off is the opposite of a hammer-on. If a hammer-on is an upward slur, then a pull-off is a downward slur, okay? You're going to strike your first note, and what you have to do to actually make a sound for a pull-off is flick it. You have to pull it down towards the ground. Okay, you have to actually flick it. If you just pull your finger straight up off, it doesn't really do much, you know? It's almost hard for me not to do it at this point, but for a pull-off, you have to flick the string a little bit. Again, I'm only striking that first note. And these slurs are basic techniques, guys. If you guys are working on your slap bass at the point we're talking about in this video, you should be well on your way with your slurs and pull-offs and stuff, okay? You can do both of those things like that with two in a row. You can go two hammer-ons. Do an open and a closed position one. And you can do the same thing with a pull-off. But you gotta do a closed one and an open one. Alright, so there's a bit of a secret hammer-on technique that a lot of people do, and they don't really talk about it too much. So I want to show you guys what it is. It's called a hammer-on out of nowhere. And if you're well on your way with your hammer-ons, this will be a welcome bit of knowledge for you, I hope. And it's a hammer-on that you don't strike the first note. You just do that. You're basically tapping. Because when you're tapping, there's no first strike notes. Every note in a tap is a hammer-on out of nowhere, right? So with a hammer-on out of nowhere, you just do that. It's a really good way to sort of create other groupings and create riffs that have weird timings that you don't need to almost incorporate on your right hand. For instance, if I wanted to make a group of 4, I could do one hammer out of nowhere, and then I can go down my thumb, up with my thumb, and one pop, and I'll make 4. Tosin Abasi does this in a song, I think it's called The Infinite Regression, the first track off of Weightless. There's Animals as Leaders, second album. He does a grouping of 6 where he does 2 hammer out of nowheres. And then he does down to the thumb, up the thumb, 1 pop, 2 pops, making 4 plus 2 equals 6. Woo! Anyway, this is how you can make really cool groupings out of hammer-ons out of nowhere, because you don't have to incorporate this, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff when you start mixing the two without having to actually strike certain notes. So the very last slurs we're going to be doing are called slides. Now I'm going to give you 4 kinds of slides to start with, but I want you guys to start experimenting with this. Slides are a really great way to connect different phrasings, okay? The things I want to show you guys, 4 ways to do it, okay? We have upward in, we have a downward in, we have a upward out, and we have a downward out. So let me show you what these are called. Okay, this one is called the slide in, upwards. That means we're going to slide into this D, and I'm going to slide up to it. The slide in is a great way to make your lines more funky. Alright, Larry Graham loves to do these slide ins. Alright, now we have a slide in downwards. We're going to be doing the same thing, sliding into this D note, but I'm going to be sliding downwards from above. Alright, so those are lots of fun stuff. We can do sliding in up and sliding out, sliding in down. Now we're going to do the outward slides, inwards and upwards, okay? We're going to start on the D note and we're going to slide out, downwards and upwards. Alright, so that's the slide out downwards. Now let's do the slide out upwards. Alright guys, so those are 4 kinds of slides I want to show to get your sliding game up. Slides are really good for inflection, slides are really good for your phrasing, slides are really good for your personality, your flavor, your character, making your lines your own. Sliding is a really nice way to do that because you can do it your own way. You know, sliding is like such a basic, simple thing that you can put your own twist on it really easily, okay? So I want you guys to experiment with that. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys have found any luck experimenting with your slides and stuff like that, connecting other riffs. How do you use your slides? Let me know. Alright, so that's it for today's lesson, guys. We've gone over all of the slap bass strokes that I use when playing both slap bass and double thumping. Okay, if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do that now before you go. We're going to be putting out new bass videos every Friday is our routine over here at Bacon's Bass Place. We do bass lessons, we do gear modification videos, we do gig vlogs, we do podcasts, we do all kinds of fun stuff. So every Friday we're going to be putting out something new. Dizzy Mystics, my prog rock band, we're based out of Winnipeg, Canada. We've just put out our debut album, Wanderlost. You can find that on Bandcamp. You can stream us on Spotify and iTunes and Google Play Music and all of that juicy goodness. We got the Facebook and the Instagram and the YouTube, so follow us all there. That's called Dizzy Mystics. We're a psychedelic progressive hard rock band based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Also, I'm going to be doing private bass lessons. If anybody is interested in private bass lessons from me, one-on-one, we can hook those up online. We can do it through Skype. We can do it through Facebook. We can do it through WhatsApp. We can do it through anything. Go on the About section of my channel, find my email, send me an email asking for bass lessons, and we will hook you up with some bass lessons. All right? Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys share to all your bass player friends. And come back every Friday for new videos. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.